Off. This Honourable Parliament is in session. I now invite the member for Borden Down West to read prayers.
Let us pray. Almighty God, from whom all wisdom and power derive, we beseech thee so to direct and prosper the deliberations of the Parliament now assembled, that all things may be ordered upon the best and surest foundations for the glory of thy name and for the safety, honor, and welfare of the people of these islands. Bless our sovereign, King Charles III, William, Prince of Wales, and all the royal family. Give grace to all who exercise authority in our Commonwealth, that peace and happiness, truth and justice, religion and piety may be established amongst us. Especially, we pray for the Governor of our islands, the Premier, the Speaker of the Parliament, the Leader of the Opposition, Ministers of Cabinet, ex-officio members, members of the Parliament, the Chief Justice, and members of the Judiciary, that we may be enabled faithfully to perform the responsible duties of our high office. All this we ask for thy great name's sake. Let us say the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. The Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord make his face shine upon us, and be gracious unto us. The Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon us, and give us peace now and always. Amen.
Administration of oaths or affirmations.
None.
Reading by the Honourable Speaker of Messages and Announcements.
I have only one message. I would like to have a short meeting with all of the women parliamentarians at the lunch break in the small committee room to discuss the event tomorrow evening. Okay.
Personal explanations.
I have been given notice of one personal explanation. I now call on the Deputy Premier and Minister of Tourism.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much. I just have two to make this morning, sir. First of all, I want to thank my wife for 32 wonderful years of marriage that we're celebrating today. And
you didn't bring her this morning so we could tell her what a wonderful woman she is?
I think we wore it yesterday. But it was, you know, I've accomplished a lot of things in life, but the most successful one I can say is my family and the 3 children that we've successfully raised together. Amen. And the other one I want to mention today is very heartwarming, but there's a young man celebrating his birthday today, 17 years old, young Alexander Tibbetts, and he is struggling very, very tough today. I don't want to remember him and give him a shout out. 3 years ago, I took him to dinner in Miami, and he was very impressed with cars. And he says, you know, Uncle Gary, I can't wait to the day that I turn 17 that I can get my driver's license. And unfortunately, and this is an act of God and a miracle, he may not got that wish. But I just want to give him a big shout out today, and I hope that he's listening. And if you all could remember him in your prayers, it'll mean a lot to him and the family. Thank you all very much, and thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Okay.
Presentation of papers and reports.
None.
Urgent questions.
None.
Questions to members of the government.
Just a minute, okay. The House is suspended for 30 minutes.
Is he going back for the...
This honorable parliament is back in session. Please be seated.
Questions to members of the government. Elected member for Buntown East to ask the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Development, question number 67.
Member for Buntown East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. Question standing in my name, question number 67 to the Honourable Minister of Finance. Can the Honourable Minister say if the Ministry is working on an initiative for the private healthcare facilities which are not accepting the cynical healthcare insurance?
Question 67. Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Development.
No, I got it right. My apologies, Mr. Speaker. The answer, Mr. Speaker, Synoco is currently progressing an initiative which will seek to have private health care facilities accept the Synoco health insurance card without the need to have an accompanying approval from the Chief Medical Officer, the CMO. At present, with the exception of vision care providers, members, other than those enrolled in a standard health insurance contract, or SHIC, generally require a referral approved by the CMO to access healthcare providers outside the Cayman Islands Health Services Authority. As part of a pilot program, Synoco intends to establish provider network agreements with Health City Cayman Islands and Doctors Hospital during the second quarter of 2026. These agreements will allow Synoco employees direct access to these providers at negotiated rates without requiring prior CMO approval. Synoco employees accessing care through this arrangement will be subject to applicable co-insurance requirements. The purpose of the pilot program is to collect sufficient data to assess utilization patterns and potential pricing implications before any decision is made on whether direct access can be extended to civil servants more broadly. Any such decision will require close consultation with the portfolio of the civil service, as it may have cost implications for government's budget. SHIC members will continue to have access to private health care providers under existing SHIC benefit arrangements, including applicable discounts and co-insurance provisions. In addition, the provider network will support an upgraded health insurance plan intended to be offered by Cineco to the public in the second quarter of 2026. Looking ahead, Cineco intends to expand its provider network during 2026 to include pharmacists and dental practitioners, followed by selected general practitioners and specialists. The final phase will be undertaken in consultation with the Central Procurement Office to ensure full compliance with procurement requirements. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Elected member for Bordentown West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, through you to the Honourable Minister, and I wanted to thank him for that comprehensive answer on behalf of my colleague from Bordentown East. Can the Honourable Minister say, based on his response, which entity does Cineco pays the most money to each year?
Mr. Speaker, given the customer base, which of course is the civil servants, it would be the HSA.
Member for Bordentown West.
Through you, Mr. Speaker, to the Honourable Minister, can the Minister say HSA's health plan, which entity manages HSA's health plan?
Mr. Speaker, I am reliably informed it is British American Insurance Company, locally known as Britkey.
Member for Bordentown West.
Through you, Mr. Speaker, is this House to understand, and civil servants to understand, that Cineco pays the most money to the Health Service Authority, and the Health Services Authority, staff and civil servants in the whole, their health care plan is being managed by Cineco, but Health Service Authority's plan is being managed by Britkey.
Mr. Speaker, whilst that wasn't a question, permit me, if you would,
I was about to say no, but
just two Tuesdays ago, I want to get it accurate. The caucus approved for myself and the Deputy Governor, and we're forming a small subcommittee. I just want to be transparent with the House, and we are looking at the policy around SAGCs. I can tell the House what my personal policy is. All SAGCs needs to come home. We cannot have one entire public sector with a multiple of systems around healthcare and pension. Mr. Speaker, 2 seconds with your permission. I had come to my constituency office, and I'm sure all of us have experienced this, a 29-year employee of the Water Authority who has, if God spares him, the average male life in the Cayman Islands, close to 2 decades more to live, and his pension is all but done.
member for Bordentown West, last supplementary.
Don't worry. I just want to thank the Honourable Minister of Finance and his government for dealing with this issue once and for all. Thank you very much.
Okay. Member for Bordentown East.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too want to thank the Minister for his comprehensive answer, and to say that a lot of employees have two insurance policies just to try to keep up with with the pace of getting urgent care in a timely manner. The wait times sometimes are extensive, especially for pharmacy and so forth. So I thank the staff of Cineco for all the work that they're doing, and I thank the minister especially so early on in this term that I know that we'll get it done. It's not like time will run out on you, and I know that the minister will see to it that this gets done. It's something I think that can save money also. Thank you.
Member for Georgetown Central and Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning to you, sir. Can I ask the Honourable Minister, did I understand he intends to do a committee to review this? And if the review is more internal within government, or potentially a review of some members on the opposite side? And if so, I kindly put myself forward if he needs my services.
Mr. Speaker, this one was not intended to be a 54-6 because we want to move at pace, but in the spirit of cooperation, I do not believe that the government would have any difficulties with us ensuring that we at least have one meeting, Deputy Governor, where we invite the opposition and let's get everybody's views to make sure we're all on the same page with this.
Okay, I just want to remind members that yesterday we spent almost 3 hours on questions, so I want to keep the preambles, and I don't want to rule in about his supplementary question out of order, but the standing orders are quite clear what supplementary questions should address. So, next question.
The elected member for Bordentown East to ask the Honourable Minister of Finance and Economic Development, question 68.
Member for Bordentown East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and sometimes I do the preamble because when you don't preamble, the minister asks you, can you give me some more information? And then you have to So the question in my name, number 68, can the Honourable Minister of Finance and Economic Development please say if he is aware that some entities or persons are refusing to accept cash and checks for payment and do not recognize these legal tenders?
Honourable Minister for Finance and Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank the member for the question. I am not aware of any specific entities or persons that are declining to accept cash or checks as a method of payment. For clarity, while the Cayman Islands currency issued by the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority constitutes legal tender, a private business is not in general obligated to accept any particular form of payment in every circumstance. A retailer may determine in advance of a transaction the payment methods it is prepared to accept, whether cashless, card only, or otherwise, provided that customers are clearly informed. It is also important to note that checks are not legal tender. They represent an instruction to a bank to pay funds and may be accepted at the discretion of the receiving party. The government encourages transparency and clear communication by merchants so that consumers are aware of accepted payment methods before entering into a transaction. I would invite the Honourable Member to inform me privately of entities or persons that are not accepting cash as payment for goods and services. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Bordentown East.
Thank the Minister, through you, Mr. Speaker, for that response. Basically speaking, Mr. Speaker, older persons, or the persons who are actually being told and run all around because they don't have the online capability. Most people want you to transfer. And I actually tried the system myself in sending a check first, and they wouldn't accept check. And then I sent cash, and they wouldn't accept cash. And after I called, reminded them it was a legal tender, they accepted it and said that they would only accept it this one time, but next time I needed to transfer online. Mr. Speaker, I transfer online internally in some regards, and I can tell you that for politicians who can easily transfer money. Anyhow, let me not go there. But you know they're gonna get broke.
You have a supplementary question?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. What do we? And I heard what the member said, Mr. Speaker, in terms of that private entities are not obliged to accept and can decide what form of payment that they will accept. But we have the problem of the older persons. And not only that, last year I think there was an international engine that shut down almost the whole world. And I saw a big line in the bank when the computers went down. Anyhow, Mr. Speaker, we got to protect the older persons.
That's outside the bounds of the question, okay.
Mr. Speaker, this is a serious matter. I mean, obviously when a lot of us travel, we do, especially when you go to Europe and other countries, it's ordinary for us to go to retailers that have gone cashless. But I get the point that the member is driving at. Certainly, I think from our side, what we will do and undertake to do is to do some comms around just reminding merchants to really be upfront, because for a customer to have reached that stage and not realized that they couldn't pay in the method that they were comfortable with seems to be unfortunate. But let me reiterate, this is a challenging one when a merchant literally can decide how it's going to receive payment, right? It's down to them. They can accept. Lots of them don't accept American Express, for example, right? And that's a business decision that every merchant has to make. So government has to trade carefully around this whole area, because merchants have to be free to decide how they're going to conduct their business.
Next question, Honorable.
Elected member for Borden Town East to ask the Honorable Minister of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage, question 69.
Member for Borden Town East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question number 69 in my name to the Honorable Minister of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage. Can the Honorable Minister say how many national heritage sites do we have in the Cayman Islands? And has the first capital Borden town been considered for any such distinction?
Honorable Minister of Sports, Culture and Heritage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the answer. The Cayman Islands has identified and recorded more than 330 sites of historic, cultural, and national significance, which include historic homes, cultural landmarks, and natural features. These sites are formally recognized as on the Cayman Islands National Trust Heritage Register, which has been maintained by the National Trust since 1990 and publicly accessible via its official website. Several of the most prominent heritage assets are located in Borden Town, including Pedro St. James, Gun Square, Mission House, and the Slave Walls. In addition, the 1997 development plan established a historic overlay zone along Mans Road in Bordentown. These designations was introduced specifically to safeguard the area's historical and architectural character, ensuring that future development remains sensitive to its heritage value. To provide further context, a heritage site is a location recognized for its cultural, historical, scientific, or natural significance, and is often legally protected to preserve its value for future generations. These sites may include landmarks, monuments, buildings, landscapes, or natural areas, and are generally categorized as cultural, natural, or mixed heritage sites. They serve as tangible reminders of the history, cultural identity, and natural heritage, fostering a sense of belonging through generations. In alignment with broad outcome number 5, Caymanian identity, culture, and heritage, the Ministry is committed to developing a modern, fit-for-purpose national strategy to promote and preserve Caymanian culture and heritage, including the development of legislative framework through review and modernization of existing laws, as well as the revision of the National Culture and Heritage Policy and Strategic Plan. These efforts aim to promote Caymanian identity and strengthen the preservation of cultural heritage and natural resources for Caymanians.
Member for Bordentown East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the Honourable Minister for that answer. I know definitely culture is your heart. And is the Honourable Minister aware that one of the cannon guns at the entrance of Gun Square has been knocked down by a motorist? And it's been knocked down now probably about 10 days, and it hasn't been erected. I don't know who would be responsible for it. I've tried a couple avenues, but can the Honourable Minister also say who is responsible for those guns?
Honourable Minister of Cultural Heritage and...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and through you to the member. I wasn't personally aware that there was an accident that knocked over one of the guns, but certainly we can give it on the thing to have a look at it and see how we can get it erected back, because Gun Square is certainly one of the historic sites that we have listed.
One upside down? One upside down, Robert?
Again, Mr. Speaker, we'll give an undertaking to have someone look at it and see how we can get it erected back.
Next question.
Elected member for Bordentown West to ask the Honourable Premier, Minister of Financial Services and Commerce, question number 70.
Member for Bordentown West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask question number 70, standing in my name. The question reads, can the Honourable Minister say, A, how many vacation days were Cayman Islands Monetary Authority, CIMA, employees entitled to for the years 2016 through to 2025, and B, how many vacation days were used by the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority employees for the years 2016 through to 2025? Thank you.
Honourable Minister and Premier.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the member for the question. Mr. Speaker, just briefly, at the risk of violating your rule this morning on preambles, this might spare some follow-up questions on the next 6 questions. So with your leave, I wanted to make an overarching statement that the member and I, the member for Bordentown West, have had an extensive discussion, and this leads on from a comment that the Minister for Finance made on his question, that there is an undertaking by the government to have a review of the Public Authorities Act. I think by March next year, the legislation will be 10 years old. At this point, it is ripe for a review to see what's working, what's not working. This is one of the areas in which there needs to be improvement. In addition to Minister Anglin's committee, the Office of the Premier has engaged local counsel to engage the Deputy Premier's office to also look at other areas such as Section 47 that deals with remuneration of staff. So to that said, we may not have all the answers to any supplementary questions coming today, but that's because we're going to have an undertaking with inclusion for members of the opposition to have a holistic review of certain areas of the Public Authorities Act. So with that, I turn to the answer, Mr. Speaker. And I also mentioned to the member that in certain cases, which affects the deputy governor as well, in this time period of these questions, certain agencies have changed databases, have gone from paper to electronic, so they can only sometimes, within the time they had, to go back so many years, but we can give an undertaking for further years. So with that, Mr. Speaker, the answer, based on readily available information from SEMA, the total accumulated vacation days entitlement for all staff by the following years is 2023, 6,836 days accumulated for all staff. 2024, 6,346 days accumulated for all staff. 2025, 8,432 days accumulated for all staff. The total vacation days taken for all staff by a year is as follows. 2023, 5,833 days taken by all staff. 2024, 5,309 days taken by all staff, and 2025, 7,123 days taken by all staff.
Member for Bordentown West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Honourable Premier for that answer. And he's correct, we did have the conversation and that agreement in terms of some information not being readily available. And I think the point that I wanted to make from filing these questions, which was, as the Premier said, next year will be 10 years since we had the Public Authorities Law, is for us to directly start harmonizing a lot more things inside the public sector. So I think this exercise has brought out exactly what we wanted to bring out in terms of those discrepancies. And I want to thank the Premier and the Deputy Governor also for their understanding in this matter. Thank you.
Okay. Next question.
Elected member for Bordentown West to ask the Honourable Premier, Minister of Financial Services and Commerce, question number 71.
Mr. Speaker, with the leave of the House and the interest of time, and since the point has already been made, I am okay to get my remaining answers 71 through 75 and the remaining answers from the other government entities in writing. Because it'll be quite time-consuming to be asking the same thing. I think the point has been made, so I'm okay to take the rest of my questions in writing.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I just rise briefly to thank the member for Bordentown West for that collaborative approach, and we'll continue to work on the issue together. Thank you.
Thank you. So just to reiterate, the answers for 71, 72, 73, 74, and 75 will be given in writing to the member and circulated to other members as well. Thank you. Okay. Question number 76.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition, elected member for Georgetown North, to ask the Honourable Minister of Plahi, question 76.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Honourable Leader of the Opposition elected. I rise to ask the Honourable Minister of Planning, Lands, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure. Can the Honourable Minister say how many of the government affordable homes have been occupied since January 2025?
Honourable Minister of Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The member can actually keep his job title. Mr. Speaker, the response. The National Housing Development Trust has advised that 13 homes constructed under the Affordable Housing Initiative have been occupied since January 25.
Next question. 77.
Elected member for Bordentown East to ask the Honourable Minister of Plahi, question 77.
Member for Bordentown East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question number 77 in my name for the Honourable Minister of Planning, Lands, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure. Can the Honorable Minister say when the affordable lands in East End will be available for sale, and will the government consider another initiative as such?
Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, the initiative involving the Cayman Islands government purchasing a large tract of a residential development land in Eastern, filling services and subdividing the land and offering the individual parcels for sale to qualifying Caymanians is progressing well. The ministry staff are currently preparing the policy document, which is expected to be completed by Easter of 2026. Once finalized, the policy will be submitted to Cabinet for review and approval, and then the government is also active exploring additional land and locations where similar initiatives may be implemented across the island.
Member for Bordentown East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the Minister for that response. Through you, Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Minister say if a method in how these properties will be distributed has been agreed on by the government?
Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Mr. Speaker, through you, at the moment I cannot say how that agreement will be until we get the final decision from my colleagues in Cabinet.
Next question.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition to ask the Minister of Plahi, question 78.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask question 78 in my name to the Honourable Minister of Planning, Lands, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure. Can the Honourable Minister provide an update on the National Development Plan?
Honourable Minister of Planning.
Absolutely, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the review of the National Development Plan, Plan Cayman, continues during 2025 and into 2026. At its meeting on the 2nd of July 2025, Cabinet approved the appointment of the members of the Development Plan Appeals Tribunal, which has been the task of reviewing the objections and representations submitted in relation to the draft of the 2024 planning statement. The tribunal held 4 hearings during the latter part of 25 and a further 3 hearings in January, February of 26. These hearings took place across all 3 islands, with participations limited to individuals who made submission during the 24 consultation period and confirmed their willingness to participate. The next stage is for the Development Plan Appeals Tribunal to prepare its report through inquiry in accordance with the Section 11(3)(a) of the Development Planning Act and representations together with the tribunal report before submitting the planning statement documents to the Cayman Islands Parliament for approval.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me thank the Honourable Minister for the detailed response. Honourable Minister, I see where and understand that the tribunal held meetings across the 3 islands with participation limited to individuals who had made submissions during the 2024 consultation period and confirmed their willingness to participate. Understanding the next step, will there be another opportunity for public consultation even during the zones, or will this now move into the full review of the plan?
Honourable Minister of Planning.
Mr. Speaker, through you, after that is finished, the next review is to actually start to move in to review of the full plan, sir.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Minister update us as to how many zones, or what is the thinking of the government at this point in carrying out the review of the plan, and will that include the 3 islands or just Grand Cayman as it is?
Mr. Speaker, through you, as mentioned in my first mention, my response, the next stage is to carry it to Cabinet for Cabinet approval and then to be able to come to Parliament. So at that time, Cabinet will be able to see everything that was put forward from all of the hearings and from what the tribunal has actually implemented in putting forward for the development plan. So at that time, we will be able to give a more broader statement when it comes to all the multiple zones and where the locations and everything will be.
Before we go to the next item of business, I would just like to remind ministers that there are a number of outstanding questions. Business Committee agreed that we would put 18 questions per day. You will notice from the order paper today, there are only 12 questions on today because we want to have 12 answers. I really want to make an appeal to ministers to get the other questions, answers in to Parliament before close of business today, because we have to make certain preparation and get them on order paper tomorrow.
Mr. Speaker, just briefly to say, we take that completely on board. A few more, another 6 were due to come in, but it was too much for the staff to arrange. We are given undertaking to get them done by tomorrow.
Thank you.
Submitted today for tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Next order of business.
Statements by members of the government.
I have been given notice of a number of statements and I've approved them. I'll call on Minister DaCosta, a total of 4, 5, well, there's more than this, but these are the ones that are on the paper for today. 6, 7, 10. For today, yeah. So I call on Minister DaCosta to give his 4 statements. But most of these statements are very short. They just have to do with Section 11 of the thing, which are 11.5. Most of them are that. Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. All right. Cool. I don't want you to get winded today, you know. So
thank you,
do
Mr.
tomorrow.
Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me see. Let's start with this one first. Mr. Speaker, I wish to make a statement to this Honourable House regarding an exceptional circumstance appropriation approved by Cabinet pursuant to Sections 11.5 and 11.6 of the Public Management and Finance Act 2020 revision for the former Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry sought the then Cabinet's approval to transfer appropriations within the Ministry in order to provide additional capital funding required to complete the accommodation block project in Cayman Brac and to meet the final contractual payments associated with that project. These circumstances were beyond the control of the government, could not reasonably have been anticipated at the time of the Appropriation Act was enacted, and required expenditure to be incurred within the financial year in order to complete the project. Mr. Speaker, therefore, on the 25th of February 2025, the then Cabinet approved, pursuant to Section 11.5 of the Act, the transfer of appropriations in the amount of $1,300,000 as follows: a decrease of OE 134, depreciation of Sister Islands roads, by $1,300,000, and an increase of EI 87, equity injection in the Ministry of District Administration and Lands, by the same amount, $1.3 million. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Finance confirmed at the time that this appropriation change would not result in any non-compliance with the principles of responsible financial management. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I'll just continue straight in. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, another statement pursuant to Section 11.5 and 11.6 of the PMFA for the former Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Mr. Speaker, the Minister sought Cabinet's approval to transfer appropriations to provide additional funding for 2 capital projects in Cayman Brac. Works at the Cayman Brac Sports Complex included the installation of an international standard rubberized running track and associated athletics infrastructure. Additional procurement and installation works were required to ensure the facility met international competition standards. In addition, works at Cayman Brac Public Parks involved the development of community recreational infrastructure, including hard courts, landscaping, and related public amenities for residents of Cayman Brac. These circumstances were beyond the control of the government, could not reasonably have been anticipated at the time of the Appropriation Act and when it was enacted, and required expenditure to be incurred within the financial year in order to complete these projects. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, on the 25th of February 2025, the then Cabinet approved, pursuant to Section 11.5 of the Act, the transfer of appropriations in the amount of CI $1 million, as follows: a decrease of OE 134, depreciation of Sister Islands roads, by $1 million, an increase of EA 60, Cayman Brac Sports Complex expansion, by $500,000, and an increase of EA 167, Cayman Brac Public Parks, by $500,000. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Finance confirmed at the time that this appropriation change would not result in any non-compliance with the principles of responsible financial management. Mr. Speaker, another statement regarding Section 11.5 and 11.6 of the PMFA. The Department of Customs and Border Control is responsible for the management of irregular migrants who arrive in the Cayman Islands, including their detention, triage, assessment, processing, accommodation, care, custody, and where applicable, repatriation. For the 2025 financial year, the sum of $668,000 was appropriated under NGS 38, Services for Irregular Migrants. Due to the inherently unpredictable nature of irregular migrant arrivals and the associated operational costs, this appropriation proved insufficient during the financial year. The resulting expenditure pressures arose from circumstances beyond the control of the government, could not reasonably have been anticipated, and required additional expenditure in order for the government to meet its legal and operational obligations in managing irregular migrants. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, on the 3rd of September 2025, Cabinet approved, pursuant to Section 11.5 of the Act, the reallocation of appropriations as follows: a reduction of OE 144, depreciation of executive assets, by CI $2 million, and an increase of NGS 38, services for irregular migrants, by the same amount, $2 million. Mr. Speaker, again, the Minister of Finance confirmed at that time that this appropriation change would not result in any non-compliance with the principles of responsible financial management. And finally, the last one for today, another statement regarding 11.5 and 11.6 of the Public Management and Finance Act. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry delivers a number of programs that supports the communities of Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, including assistance to vulnerable homeowners, community initiatives and events, and the maintenance of public parks. During the 2025 financial year, several appropriations within the ministry required additional funding to meet operational commitments and outstanding expenditure. These pressures arose primarily from higher than anticipated demand under the Sister Islands Home Repairs and Hurricane Shutters Assistance Program, additional initiatives under Sister Islands community projects, and increased costs associated with the maintenance of public parks in Cayman Brac. These expenditure pressures could not reasonably have been anticipated at the time the Appropriation Act was enacted and required additional expenditure to ensure the continued delivery of important community programs and services in the Sister Islands. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, on the 29th of December 2025, Cabinet approved, pursuant to Section 11.5 of the Act, the reallocation of appropriations in the amount of $390,000 as follows: a reduction of EI 93, capital acquisitions for the Ministry of District Administration and Home Affairs, by $390,000, an increase of TP 66, Sister Islands Home Repairs and Hurricane Shutters Assistance Program, by $75,000, and an increase of TP 101, Sister Islands Community Projects, by $140,000, and an increase of EA 167, Cayman Brac Public Parks, by $175,000. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Finance confirmed at the time that this appropriation change would not result in any non-compliance with the principles of responsible financial management. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Attorney General, one statement.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Section 11(6) of the Public Management and Finance Act, I wish to make a statement to this House regarding an exceptional circumstance which was approved by the Cabinet for additional expenses incurred by the Portfolio of Legal Affairs in 2025 financial year. Mr. Speaker, the exceptional circumstances required making changes to the 2025 appropriation are as follows. Additional funding totaling $210,000 was required in 2025 to cover rental costs in excess of the budgeted amount due to the relocation of the Truman Bodden Law School. As well, Mr. Speaker, to cover the cost of living and certain salary adjustments to some lawyers in our law reform team. By way of background, Mr. Speaker, the Truman Bodden Law School operated from the Tower Building up until Hurricane Ivan in 2004. It then relocated to leased premises on the second and third floor of the CIBC building on Edward Street, since renamed the Monaco Towers, where it remained until June 2024. The lease with Monaco Towers was due to expire in June 2024, Mr. Speaker. Given certain issues with the premises and the proposed renewal terms, the Truman Bodden Law School worked with the Lands and Survey Department to identify alternative accommodation. After conducting a property search, the second floor of Artemis House was identified as a suitable option for consideration. Artemis House was recommended for the relocation of the law school based on a more favorable rental cost, the ability to house all of the Truman Bodden Law School on a single floor, and the fit out, Mr. Speaker, both for the law school current needs and future expansion. On the 13th of February 2024, Cabinet approved the relocation of the law school to Artemis House. Additional funding of $150,000 was required to cover the shortfall between the budgeted amount for rent in 2025 and the increase in rent going forward. Mr. Speaker, as it relates to the Law Reform Division, on the 10th of October 2024, the government announced its support for a 5% cost of living adjustments, or COLA, for the civil service, which would take effect on the 1st of January 2025. The costs relating to the COLA and the salary adjustments for lawyers were not included in the 2025 budget, and therefore additional funds were required to cover these costs for the Law Reform Department. In 2025, as part of the wider CIG initiative to modernize HR through the introduction of job families and professional standards, work was undertaken on the development of a comprehensive HR strategy to better recognize the value of the legal services delivered by the portfolio and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and their strategic importance to the Cayman Islands government's outcome and enhance the delivery of those services through improved recruitment, development, and retention of high-caliber employees at all levels of the profession, including Caymanian, Mr. Speaker. Additional funding of $60,000 was required to cover the cost of living adjustment and salary adjustments of lawyers for our law reform team, which was effective from January 2025. So, Mr. Speaker, as it relates to the exceptional circumstance, the need for the additional funding is an exceptional circumstance since the increase in rent could not reasonably have been anticipated during the 2024-2025 budget preparation. Further, if suitable alternative premises had not been identified, the operation of the law school and the delivery of tertiary level education could have been compromised by remaining in accommodation that was not fit for purpose. Similarly, Mr. Speaker, the need for the additional funding to cover the salary increase for our employees in the law reform team could not reasonably have been anticipated during the budget preparation. The following change was approved by Cabinet via Section 11.5. A. Decrease 2025 appropriation. LGA 6. Financial Intelligence Services, $210,000. B. Increase 2024 appropriation. LGA 3. Law Teaching and Publications by $150,000. LGA 7. Review and Modernization of Acts by $60,000. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the above exceptional circumstance, which was approved by the Cabinet for the Portfolio of Legal Affairs for the 2025 financial year, along with the overall effect of the government's compliance with the principles of responsible financial management, can be found in the 2026 supplementary bill. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to provide an update to this Honourable House and the public regarding the status of the several backlogged audits for the Ministry of Health, Environment and Sustainability that I inherited. The Ministry appreciates the continued engagement and oversight of the Public Accounts Committee and acknowledges the constructive dialogue that took place during the committee's witness session on the 15th of January 2026. During that session, the committee strongly recommended that the Ministry accept the offer of the Office of the Auditor General to issue a disclaimer of opinion for the backlog audits covering the period 2020 to 2023. The committee indicated that this approach would enable the 2024 and 2025 audits of the Ministry to be completed by the Office of the Auditor General during the 2026 calendar year. It would also eliminate the audit backlog and ensure that current financial information is available to the public in support of transparency and accountability. As discussed and outlined during the witness session, the Ministry's position regarding the backlogged audits has been guided by the requirements of the Public Management and Finance Act and the international standards on auditing. Within these established frameworks, there is no valid basis for the issuance of a disclaimer of opinion or for foregoing full financial audits for the backlog years. This is especially the case as financial statements for each of these years were submitted within the statutory timelines and the supporting records remain available to facilitate the conduct of the audits. Notwithstanding this position, the Ministry acknowledges the Committee's recommendation to accept the Office of the Auditor General's offer to issue a disclaimer of opinion for the years 2020 to 2023. This course of action would mean that full financial audits for these years will not be conducted by the Auditor General, the Office of the Auditor General. While this approach does not reflect the Ministry's initial perspective, there is no doubt that much time and resources are required to carry out all of the outstanding audits. And it is similarly true that the value of financial information which these audits would provide is significantly diminished by the time which has passed. Accordingly, the Ministry accepts that on balance, it is a better use of resources and a better outcome to draw a line on the outstanding audits to restore relevance and value of the financial information provided by the audit of the Ministry's financial accounts. Mr. Speaker, that does not mean that the Office of the Auditor General will ignore the several years of financial statements which would not have a full audit. In fact, they will be reviewed and analyzed to ensure that there are no red flags or obvious issues which would prompt a more thorough review. But the investment in time and resources to do that will be considerably less than doing a full audit. Mr. Speaker, I am satisfied that this approach is a more efficient use of resources to get the Ministry audits back on track and current with their full value restored, and I'm grateful for the guidance of the Office of the Auditor General. The Ministry is currently in communication with the Office of the Auditor General to agree commencement dates for the 2024 and 2025 audits. The 2024 annual report and financial statements were submitted in February 2025 by the Ministry, while the 2025 annual reports and financial statements were submitted in February 2026 as per statutory submission timelines. The Ministry stands ready to provide our full cooperation to commence these audits and to continue working collaboratively with the Office of the Auditor General to support their timely completion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to make a statement as to the circumstances and the reason why I, as Minister of Social Development and Innovation, had to request a reallocation of appropriations within the 2025 budget under Sections 11.5 and 11.6 of the Public Management and Finance Act 2020 revision. Mr. Speaker, last year, the Ministry of Social Development and Innovation administered through TP 41 financial assistance a one-time stipend to bus wardens and the bus drivers employed by private entities contracted to provide school bus transportation services to the Cayman Islands government education system for the year 23 to 24 school year. As a result of the concerns raised regarding the loss of wages for the summer period, the Ministry administered the delivery of a one-time stipend via TP 41 for the bus wardens and bus drivers employed by the private entities. Mr. Speaker, the bus wardens' stipend was provided to address the void in salary for bus wardens and the bus drivers who are not employed during the summer months when schools are not in session. In order to process this stipend, supplemental funding was required in financial year 2025, as there was no budget allocation for this stipend. Mr. Speaker, the supplementary funding request at this time was necessary and urgent to address the discrepancy in pay structures between the civil servants and the employees of private bus companies who deliver the same services of providing transportation to our children so they can access education and to avoid negative economic and social impacts due to the loss of income for the summer period. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Social Development and Innovation requested to reallocate $380,000 from TP 60 housing assistance to TP 41 financial assistance in accordance with Section 11.5 and 11.6 of the Public Management Finance Act 2020 revision. Mr. Speaker, the aforementioned exceptional circumstances transaction, which was approved by the Cabinet for the Ministry of Social Development and Innovation during the 2025 financial period, did not cause any non-compliance with the principles of responsible financial management. Second statement, Mr. Speaker. Again, I wish to make a statement as the circumstances and reason why I, as Minister for Social Development and Innovation, had to request the supplementary appropriations within the 2025 budget via Section 11.5 and 11.6 of the Public Management and Finance Act 2020 revision. Mr. Speaker, in November 2025, the Department of Financial Assistance confirmed to the Ministry of Social Development that its budget would be insufficient to meet their projected expenditure for December 2025. Subsequently, there was a need to increase the appropriation in order to allow the department to make payments throughout the remainder of the year. The department indicated that funding was primarily being depleted before the end of this year due to the increase in demand for rental assistance from August 2025 to November 2025 and the projected demand for December 2025. There was a 25.23% increase in the number of households receiving rental assistance from January 2025 to November 2025. Mr. Speaker, in December 2025, the Ministry was advised of the decision to provide additional holiday stipends for persons receiving ex gratia seafarers and veterans benefits and the long-term financial assistance from the department, which required an increase in the appropriation to allow the department to make the additional payment. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, the Department of Financial Assistance confirmed to the Ministry that for December 2025, they would be unable to continue funding essential services for their clients who are in dire need of financial assistance, as allocated funding would be exhausted. Mr. Speaker, due to the insufficient availability of funds, the Department would also be unable to provide additional holiday stipend as allocated funding would be exhausted. The Ministry responded to this critical need by submitting a paper to Cabinet requesting for supplementary funding. Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet therefore approved the request for the Ministry of Social Development and Innovation for supplementary appropriations per Section 11.5 and 11.6 of the Public Management and Finance Act 2020 Revision 2, reallocate $500,000 from ITI 3, Digital Services Strategy and Business Investment Services, to TP41, Financial Assistance, for the continuation of financial assistance services through December 2025. Increase TP41 financial assistance in the amount of $450,000 for the continuation of financial assistance through 2025. Increase TP47 ex gratia benefits to seamen and ex-servicemen in the amount of $427,500 for additional holiday stipend of $500 to be provided to all recipients of the seafarers and veterans ex gratia benefit. Increase TP41 financial assistance in the amount of $501,000 for additional holiday stipend of $500 to be provided to all long-term financial assistance recipients. Mr. Speaker, the aforementioned exceptional circumstances transaction, which was approved by Cabinet for the Ministry of Social Development and Innovation during the 2025 financial period, did not cause any non-compliance with the principles of responsible financial management. And the third statement, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to make a statement as to the circumstances and the reason why I, as Minister for Social Development and Innovation, had to request supplementary appropriations within the 2025 budget via Sections 11.5 and 11.6 of the Public Management and Finance Act 2020 Revision. Mr. Speaker, in December 2025, the Honourable Premier Andre Banks and the Honourable Minister Ralston Anglin visited the Pines Retirement Home for the residents' Christmas drop-in, at which time the ministers and the administrative team were able to witness firsthand the need of the Pines Retirement Home residents. Mr. Speaker, during the visit, the ministers were advised that the Pines Retirement Home Board has appointed a new chair, and the members agreed to expand the facility but are currently short on necessary funding to complete the project. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, following the visit, and in an effort to assist the Pines Retirement Home with incentivizing private sector philanthropy, the Cayman Islands government was desirous of contributing to this important initiative and providing a seed funding donation of $600,000 towards the overall cost of the expansion. Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet therefore approved the request from the Ministry of Social Development and Innovation for the supplementary appropriations per Sections 11.5 and 11.6 of the Public Management and Finance Act 2020 Revision to decrease JAD1 administrative support to the judiciary by $180,000 to provide funding for the expansion of the Pines Retirement Home. 2, decrease JAD2 support for court proceedings by $320,000 to provide funding for the expansion of the Pines Retirement Home. Decrease EGA 8 facilities maintenance and operational school support services in the amount of $100,000 to provide funding for the expansion of Pines Retirement Home. And increase NGS 64 care of indigent, elderly, and disabled in the amount of $600,000 to provide funding for the expansion of the Pines Retirement Home. Mr. Speaker, the aforementioned exceptional circumstances transaction, which was approved by the Cabinet for the Ministry of Social Development and Innovation during the 2025 financial period, did not cause any non-compliance with the principles of responsible financial management. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Presentation of petitions.
None.
Obituary and other ceremonial speeches.
I have received notice from several members that we may wish to give obituaries, and the Business Committee decided that we will do all of those tomorrow.
Raising of matters of privilege.
None.
Other business. Motions. Private members' motion number 9 of 2025-2026. Motion on an economic impact assessment on the 2026-2027 budget, to be moved by the Deputy Leader of Opposition and seconded by the elected member for Georgetown East.
Elected member for Georgetown Central and Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the motion number 9, standing in my name, motion on economic impact assessment of 2026-2027 budget. And it reads as such: whereas we in the official opposition have concerns as to the economic impact of the budget for 2026 and 2027, and whereas members of the community have expressed concerns of inflationary impacts on families and businesses, be therefore resolved that the government considers tabling a formal economic impact assessment on the 2026-2027 budget no later than September meeting of Parliament.
Is there a seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to.
Yeah, do it now. Do it now, and then he can second the withdrawal and we do the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My apologies for my administrative gap there. I do have intention of withdrawing this motion. I thought the formalities were it had to be read into the record first before withdrawal. And allow me, with your indulgence, to just quickly say the reasoning for this withdrawal is after yesterday's contribution by way of questioning to the Honourable Minister of Finance and through the Honourable Premier and others, that we feel comfortable that the government is keeping a close tab on the inflationary measures that are affecting the country, and in particular with the unfortunate war that is happening in the Middle East and the potential impacts on fuel cost inevitability increase. So with that being said, we are working closely with the government to ensure that we can assist in any way to keep a close eye on this inflationary circumstances in our community. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Is there a second for the withdrawal of the motion?
I second the motion, Mr. Speaker.
The motion is that private member's motion number 9 be withdrawn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against say no. The ayes, excuse me, the ayes have it. Private member's motion number 9 is therefore withdrawn.
Private members' motion number 6 of 2025-2026, motion for duty-free importation of recycling equipment, to be moved by the Deputy Leader of the Opposition, elected member for Georgetown Central, and seconded by the elected member for Georgetown East.
Elected member for Georgetown Central and Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move a motion for the private member's motion number 6, standing in my name, a motion for duty-free importation of recycling equipment. And it reads as such, Mr. Speaker. Whereas the government of the Cayman Islands is committed to environmental sustainability and the 4 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover, as outlined in the National Solid Waste Management Policy, and whereas the current cost of importing specialized machinery for waste processing, such as glass crushers, plastic shredders, and balers, serves as a financial barrier to provide private sector participation in the greener economy. Be it therefore resolved that the government considers amending the second schedule of the Customs Tariff Act to provide a 100% duty exemption on all machinery and equipment imported specifically for the purposes of recycling and waste reduction.
Is there a seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion.
The motion has been moved and seconded and is now open for debate. Does the mover of the motion wish to speak thereto?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for your indulgence. As you see, I'm going a little bit slower than normal, but I'm trying to transition. So interestingly enough, in respect to what this topic is about, is in the environment. So I'm trying to be as electronic as I possibly can rather than paper. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to move the private member's motion I just outlined, which seeks to bridge the gap in the journey of a better environment. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the Honourable Member Roy McTaggart, the member for Georgetown East, my apologies, Mr. Speaker, for seconding this motion and giving me the opportunity to present to this Honourable House and to the people. I wish to open this debate by speaking directly to my colleagues on the government benches. I do not bring this motion forward to highlight differences, but to celebrate our shared commitment. We all share the same fundamental stewardship of these three islands. We all want a cleaner, more sustainable future for our children. This motion is an invitation for us to take that major bipartisan step towards that future together. Mr. Speaker, the government has already set the vision. This administration has formally committed to environmental sustainability and the implementation of the 4 Rs: reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover, as clearly outlined in the National Solid Waste Management Policy. This is a goal that transcends the political divide, Mr. Speaker, and we recognize that the government wants to see these pillars succeed for the benefit of every Caymanian. And this motion is designed to provide the legislative fuel to make that happen. However, Mr. Speaker, we must address the practical hurdles that our local entrepreneurs and environmental advocates are facing on the ground. Currently, the sheer cost of importing specialized machinery for waste processing serves as a significant financial barrier, whether to local businesses who want to import glass crushers, plastic shredders, balers, or other specialized equipment. They are met with the high entry fee at the border. This cost acts as a deterrent, preventing the private sector from fully participating in and growing our green economy that we all want. We cannot ask our citizens to help us recycle if we make the tools to do so prohibitively expensive. This is where we can work in a bipartisan manner to clear the path for those who want to travel down this journey with us. This motion calls for the government to consider amending the second schedule of the Customs Tariff Act, Mr. Speaker. The proposal is simple and effective. Provide a 100% duty exemption on all machinery and equipment imported specifically for the purposes of recycling and waste reduction. By removing this duty, Mr. Speaker, we aren't just cutting costs. We are signaling to our local innovators and entrepreneurs that their government and their MPs is an active partner in the environmental efforts. We are making it easier for the private sector to invest in the very technology that will help fulfill the government's own waste management goals. Mr. Speaker, don't need for a long drawn-out speech today. It's pretty straightforward. This is a common sense win for the environment, for local businesses, and for our national policies. Let us show the public that when it comes to the health of our islands, this House, this government, and all members stand as one. I look forward to the government's support in turning this environmental vision into a tangible reality for every constituent that we represent. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I so beg move this motion.
Does any other member wish to speak? Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to accept and support the motion on behalf of the government, not only for its subject matter, which I'll come to in a moment, but also to thank the member for Georgetown Central. I think the words I wrote down was a major step towards bipartisan collaboration, which, as you can see, Mr. Speaker, from the prior motion that was withdrawn, that we are moving towards, and I think this is part of your vision for the House in this term, for all 19 members to be working collaboratively together. So first off, I thank the member for withdrawing the last motion and realizing we are all having to grapple with cost of living, inflationary effects for our people, and we're all going to be working towards trying to lessen the burden for our people. And specifically as it comes to this motion, we all have to live here. We all have to try to protect and promote our precious environment. So I thank the member. There are aspects of the motion as we get into more serious policy and legislative development where we might have to make adjustments, think about whether there'll be a distinction between it being between residential and commercial, but the member can rest assured that he has the support of the government to consider this seriously, adopt policies and policy proposals and legislation that will be fit for purpose for our people and with full inclusion with the opposition. There may be other ministers or caucus members who may want to add a few contributions, but again, I thank the member for the motion, and it is indeed supported by the government. Thank you.
Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? Member for Finance and Economic Development.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the motion, the private member's motion before the House is indeed an important one, as the Premier said. And certainly from my perspective, one that the government has to look at carefully and ensure that we meet the objectives that the mover has said, because those objectives are critically important to all of us for a sustainable Cayman, a more resilient Cayman, and a Cayman that is able to grow and mature and build as we develop. And the pace of development has been rapid, and we know, all of us, and this is years, this is no government's fault, but this is just a decades-old issue. Managing waste has not been something that we have been particularly good at. And so we just need to continue to work collaboratively, because when we politicize waste management, when we politicize where things like landfills are going to go, that's when the country loses. But this is more important than that debate, because this looks to reduce and eliminate waste before it even gets to the landfill. And so I certainly want to lend my support to ensuring that we move forward and build out more opportunities for Caymanians to participate in the space, but more importantly, more opportunities for homeowners to also benefit and be able to be encouraged, incentivized themselves to recycle and reduce waste at the source, which is at our homes and at our businesses. So with those few words, I certainly want to lend my support to the motion.
Does any other member wish to speak? Member for Georgetown East.
Very briefly, I thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a seconder of the motion, I'm extremely heartened to see that the government has accepted the motion, and I know that they will act on it as well. Mr. Speaker, we have been talking about, 3-4 hours, reduce, reuse, recycle, and what's the fourth one? Reuse. But anyway, we've been talking about it for a long time, and government over the years has taken steps to implement recycling programs. But Mr. Speaker, there's been to me, a defining lack of take-up by the private sector in joining in the recycling efforts that are taking place. We lack their participation, and the only way it succeeds is if you get the private sector buy-in. I understood and listened to the minister yesterday when she was making her contribution, said that the recycling, there were big plans for government to introduce recycling. Mr. Speaker, I accept and I know government can't do it all. It is going to take that collaboration. There are businesses in this country that are going to need different types of recycling equipment. And I'm talking about the larger retailers or, developers, whatever. There is going to be a need for some heavy-duty equipment when it comes to not composting, but recycling of materials, of cardboard, of plastic, whatever it might be. And I think that this is one way in which we can energize or influence the private sector to get more involved in it by giving them a substantial break in the overall cost of the equipment that they are going to have to import. And so from that standpoint alone, I'm truly grateful for their willingness to accept the motion and move forward with it. I do hope that we can see some real tangible evidence of the government's efforts and plans with regard to dealing with solid waste in Cayman in terms of the recycling efforts that will need to be undertaken. And I look forward with great anticipation to seeing that happen. With those few words, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for allowing me to speak very briefly and look forward to supporting the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very briefly, because I want to allow the Minister for Environment to speak on this, but just for the knowledge of everyone, the Ministry of District Administration and Home Affairs has already begun the work of reviewing our Tariff Act. And not only are we reviewing it with the purpose of providing relief for the cost of living in this country, but also with a targeted view of how can we encourage behaviours. So I thank the Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition for bringing this motion, and I associate myself with all the comments made thus far on both sides of this House. But I think we also, in our review, will look even further to encourage behaviour of the 4 Rs, in that while this motion proposes duty-free for import of machinery to process recyclables, we also want to encourage private households to recycle as well. So whereby our current Tariff Act will charge or levy a duty on importing recyclable bins for sorting and promoting that behaviour, that's one element that we can do to encourage a behaviour of more sustainability within our households. So as I mentioned, we've just began the work in our ministry to do a holistic review of our Tariff Act. So I'm more than willing and happy to continue the dialogue with the Deputy Leader of Opposition, and of course anyone who is willing to lend their thoughts and ideas of how we can continue to progress our nation for the benefit of our people in one small step through our Tariff Act. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister of the Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this motion as it certainly aligns with our broader objective of strengthening recycling and reducing the amount of waste going into the landfill. And, many of my colleagues in the government bench have said much of what I would share, but as Minister for Sustainability, Health and the Environment, I wanted to just stand and personally lend my voice to supporting this motion. As we develop the National Recycling Program and the long-term waste management solution, increasing the availability of modern recycling equipment will actually be an important part of this transition. And it's just been said a couple of times, but I also agree that measures that reduce barriers for private sector utilizing recycling equipment and infrastructure will certainly help to encourage and promote participation from businesses in the wider community. So while this motion alone will not solve the waste challenge, it certainly represents a step towards innovation. It improves the diversion from the landfill and continues to a more sustainable waste management system in the Cayman Islands. So, Mr. Speaker, for those reasons, I too will be supporting this motion. Thank you.
Member for Martin Down East.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Was willing to give way to the Honorable Deputy Premier, but my contribution is very short. I thank the Honorable Member for bringing this motion, one that I do support, and I know there are many businesses out there that want to buy some very expensive equipment and will need this duty-free to be able to bring these equipment into the island. But I just want to say, as former Minister of Environment, we started some initiatives a few years ago, and one of the things we wanted to do, and I heard one of the honorable ministers mention about containers just now, and bins. What we intended to do, Mr. Speaker, was to, we were taking the area of Prospect and we were going to utilize that area as a test run, and we went out and bought a truck, one of those trucks that actually could load the bins itself, and it was merely just for recycling. And I want to say that if we don't start recycling at home, we'll never achieve our goal. And it has to start at home, but the government has to put some funds into it, buy some bins that are color-coded or otherwise. And there's a truck out there that we actually brought one in a few years ago, 6 years ago or something. And but the truck came wrong. They came with the arm on the wrong side. It was from the US, so they had it on the right, and we needed it on the left side. The arm actually just goes, pick the bin up, put it in, put it back down. So, so they had to send the truck back. But I congratulate the honorable member for bringing this this motion, and definitely has my support.
Honorable Deputy Premier, Minister of Tourism.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, and I'd also like to thank the member from Georgetown Central for bringing this. I too fully support this motion, and I also find, as Minister of Tourism, and we're all actually ministers of tourism here because we have global eyes looking at us at all the time. And one of the things they ask us, what do we do with all of our trash? How do we accumulate so much? And when we look at Mount Trashmore, that is an eyesore. And anything we can do to minimize that, we need to do. The thing that I always say, we need to make Cayman clean and green. And it's going to take a concerted effort from everybody across this country. Start within your own homes, and we'll all make a difference together. But I just want to thank the member from Georgetown Central for bringing this and his team.
Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? Would the mover of the motion like to exercise his right of reply?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there's not much to say other than to thank all members of this House for their tacit support. I want to first say thank you to the Honourable Member for Georgetown East, who was eager to support this as his commitment to the environment and keeping Cayman clean. So I thank him publicly. I want to say thank you to the Honourable Premier and his government and the Minister and all members who got up to express their support for this. I think we're all on the same page in that respect. Mr. Speaker, it's important that I highlight what was said yesterday, that there's already currently amendments of the environmental law under review that will also continue to support this endeavor, and I look forward to when the Minister brings those to this House. I truly believe, Mr. Speaker, this will help us to help adjust our behavior in respect to waste, like the Honourable Minister, the little minister from Cayman said that he's going to be expanding this further to assist what we do in households, not only in business. And it reminds me of thinking of garbage cans, and I don't want to preempt the discussion about the litter bill coming, but that's another area that will help us with this, the 4 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover. I want to close by saying to all the entrepreneurs out there, all of those who are in the business of waste collection and recycling as it is, start making your plans. You've heard the government give the commitment to coming forward with a cheaper way for you to deliver that very important service. I would love to see some, young Caymanians come up with creative ways to help us meet these 4 R's. And there's an opportunity to make money from it. And the government is going to do what it takes to help it, make it easier for you, so we all benefit as a country. With that being said, Mr. Speaker, thank you. And again, I thank all members of the Parliament for their support.
The question now is, be it therefore resolved that the government considers amending the second schedule of the Customs Tariff Act to provide a 100% duty exemption on all machinery and equipment imported specifically for the purpose of recycling and waste reduction. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion has been passed. Private members, motion number 6 has been passed. I can suspend Parliament. Parliament is suspended until 1:30.